So I invite you now to prepare for meditation. So if you're comfortable, close your eyes, and I invite you to take a deep breath in to the count of 4, and then allow that breath, that exhale, to be longer, like to a count of 7. Breathing in, breathing out. We allow that breath of God to breathe us into this quiet space where we just let our shoulders relax. We let the chair just support us. We just become fully present in this moment, this now perfect moment. Breathing in and breathing out, we settle in. We acknowledge the presence and the power of God that is right here, right now, grounding us and centering us into this moment. You might perhaps like to see the bottoms of your feet with roots growing down into Mother Earth to hold you in this place. Think of yourself as a mighty tree, and those roots are grounding you into this now present moment where you can let go of the monkey mind and just listen to these words. Feel these feelings in this moment. This day we focus on love. And so, of course, we center our attention on that love center in the middle of our chest. And as we see that breath going in and out of that heart space, and as we think of someone or something that makes our heart feel joy and love, just picture that in your mind and allow that breath to breathe that love in and out of your heart space. Maybe it brings a smile to your face as you think about it. Think about this incredible love. And as you do so and you're breathing, your heart space begins to expand and your energy gets larger. And pretty soon, that energy of love is leaving your physical body and expanding out into this room, wherever you are, at home or in the sanctuary. And it's enveloping everyone and everything around you. I like to see it as a pink light, just enveloping. And it not only expands past the sanctuary and past your home, but it expands out into the universe. You see, your love is indescribable. It's totally unlimited. The love that you are is so much bigger than you can even imagine, that this light, pink light shining from your heart space can envelop the entire globe. That's how mighty and powerful the love in you is. And so we see this now, and we just imagine every single sentient being on the planet has a smile on their face as they receive this love from our hearts. I invite you to just sit a moment in the silence and feel the magnification of the love that you are impacting the globe in the silence. And now perhaps you want to put a hand over your heart as you receive that love back. You receive the love of the universe. You receive the love from your friends, your family, all of those that are seated around you. You feel the expansiveness that you are for allowing your energy to be shared in such a beautiful way this morning. We know that this is the truth of us. We know that this is why we are here. We are expressions of the one love. And we're so grateful for these teachings to know and to be able to remember how magnificent and how powerful we are to make a difference. And so we say thank you, indwelling Spirit, for this sweet time to share who we are and what we are with the rest of our world. And now we bring our focus back into this room, celebrating and knowing our love is like a mighty magnet, and that's the way it is. And whenever you're comfortable, just open your beautiful eyes. Welcome back. So I told this story when I was speaking in Oregon. So Bruce and Susan, if you're on Zoom, and I think you are on Zoom this morning, just close your ears because it's a rerun. Do you remember, it's been a number of years ago, that movie that came out with the bleep? And Dr. Emoto was doing research, right? He was a major researcher, and he was taking samples of water from rivers and lakes and oceans and bottled water and tap water, and he was dividing it into 2 samples. He took one and he blessed it. He gave it words of love and light and enhancement, right? And the other half of the samples, he said ugly, hateful, unkind words to it. And then he froze them. And then he took them out of the freezer, and what he saw was, I think, magical, because the words, the ice that had the words of love were magnificent formations of beautiful crystals. And the other formations were sort of like ugly blobs. So the question I bring to you, if over 60% of our bodies are water, does it not matter how we speak to ourselves? Think about that for a minute. Our self-talk, how we treat ourselves, how we talk to ourselves, and how we talk to other people as well, right? Our words, because they come out of our throat chakra, this is our power center. And so when we speak words, because we are God in expression, these are powerful, powerful things. And so doesn't it make you think twice about how you talk to yourself? Because our body responds, because we are so much water, and because we are all energy, right? It really makes a lot of sense that we treat ourselves and love ourselves first and foremost. So we have a new theme for this month. We're talking about family, and in particular, we're talking about the universal family. And we have an affirmation that I want us to say together today, and we're going to use this all month long. I am grateful for my family, both of my birth and of my heart. I know that you have friends and family. You have people that are part of your family that are not part of your birth family, right? We have church family. We have chosen family, don't we? We all do this. We have our heart connections with different kinds of family. I want to tell you, I had a wonderful time on my time away. I'm hoping you had half as much fun as I did while I was gone. I had some beautiful trips, and I want to tell you that I witnessed love in expression so many different ways, and not just in my personal family, but in my new family that I have in Oregon, and the people that I saw at convention. I mean, I was on like 6 planes in the last, because of all the legs of the trips. I got to witness love in airports and love in shuttles and love in rental cars. And I mean, we have lots of opportunity to show up as love, don't we? And traveling often is very stressful for people. So I witnessed some opportunities that I had to be the love for people who were struggling in their travels. I think that we are so lucky that we have this technology that we can now connect with our loved ones, our family, our friends across the globe. The technology allows us to not be separated any longer. That's one of the things you can say came out of the pandemic, is that we are all more connected because we have more technology now than we ever did. I watched Reverend Linda's talk, and I loved how she expressed so beautifully last Sunday. We are divine, she said. We are 100% divine, right? And we express that love because of who we are. We express that love because of our oneness. It is in our DNA, basically. Love is the greatest power in the world. But you see, it requires continual circulation. It has to stay strong and vital because it's designed to be expressed. It does no one any good if we sit and hibernate in our houses and don't get out there and be the love that we came here to be, loving our neighbors and loving our friends and loving our family. Well, the Jaffolas, Mary Alice and Richard, wrote a book, The Quest, which we have studied in this church many times. They remind us that God created us as already whole, perfect, and complete, right? So just like the yolk of an egg, just like an egg is whole and perfect, it can't be added to. It's already got everything that it needs for its full potential. We are the same, you see. We came here whole and complete. There's nothing that needs to be added to us, but you see, the love that is in us needs to be expressed for this circulation in order for that to take place. And that should come naturally to us because we are spiritual beings first and foremost, creations of God who are whole and complete. Now you might be thinking, yeah, but that's that movie Jerry Maguire. You complete me? Do you remember that line in Jerry Maguire, that movie? Well, that's not really true. You know, no one can really complete us. It's our job to release what is already inside of us. That's our job for right now. So I want to take you to the Bible. We're in Jeremiah today, chapter 31, verse 3. The Lord appeared to him from afar away. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, I have continued my faithfulness to you. So that is the New Revised Standard Version of it. But in the King James Bible, the second part of that scripture says, therefore, with loving kindness have I drawn thee. Which I sort of like better because it fits in with my title. Love is a mighty magnet. Because we are drawing to us from our love, from what we put focus on, right? And so the divine love is like a magnet. This love is eternal. Even when we leave these bodies, that love is still around. Love never ends. And the love that we have for people who have made their transition never ends either. Loving kindness originates in divine love. This is who we are. This is who we came here to be. It's our inheritance, and it's part of our 12 faculties. So maybe sometimes we think, well, you know, maybe the question is, how do I get more love, right? That's not really the question at all. The real question is, how can I express more of the love that I already am? Think about that. Isn't that principle 3? Tell me the principles. God is, I am, I think, I pray, I live. So the third principle is, I think. What I focus on expands. What I give attention to grows. So if you are giving attention to love in your life, you are like a magnet, because what you're giving attention to and what you're loving is what you're getting more of. That's just the way the principles work. So we get a little confused because a lot of us grew up thinking that we have to give love in order to receive love. But that's really not how it works at all, because that's actually very limiting, isn't it? That's putting conditions on our love to think that we have to give it a certain way in order to get it. Because true love is expressed not to be reciprocated, but to make us feel completely alive. If we're not loving something, we're not really living our purpose, are we? If we're withholding in some way, thinking we're doing something to someone else, we're only hurting ourselves, because we came here to be those expressions. And you know who knows this better than anyone? It's children. Children instinctively know how to love. If you've ever witnessed when maybe they're having a little tough time, they'll run in their room and they'll grab their favorite stuffed animal and they'll hug on it, right? And it's not like the animal is giving it love back. But you see, in the act of expressing the love, the child feels the warmth and the love reciprocated. It feels the comfort because it is sharing its love with its favorite toy. They know how circular and how important that love is. Jesus' only commandment was that we love one another as he loved us. And his love was always unconditional. This is our essence, the most natural part of us, because it is the substance of God in us. When we let the warmth of our love flow out in a complete circle, we touch everyone with it. People can feel it in our energy when we're in a loving place. People can feel it when you're holding back and when you're not being loved. They can also feel it, right? They kind of get the breaks from your energy. It's just the way we are. But when we are in that circle of expressing our love, we touch other people. We touch everyone. We touch and help the world become a better place because we're meeting people Christ to Christ, you see. We're living from that place within us. My son Matt and I were having a conversation, I think it was after meditation on Wednesday, and we were talking about, he's so good about understanding the energy centers and the chakras in our body and how the energy works and everything. And he was explaining to me that, you know, if you were to look at us as an energy body, you would see like a cone, or like I see megaphone, you know, the energy grows out here. So it starts here small and then it grows out. So when somebody's in their loving place, their megaphone, their energy can be really, really big. And he said that energy is full of light and ions and magnetism. And I thought, there we go. Love is a mighty magnet. So that's who we are. That's who our energy is, because we're all energy. And so we can choose that, you see. We can choose to be that one who's beaming, who's letting that chakra be the biggest one in our body, because we are expanding ourselves. Let's face it. Not only are we 100% human, we're also 100% divine, right? So sometimes the humanness gets in the way and it forgets who we are. It forgets that we are these divine beings, and something happens and we sort of miss the mark. Well, last week, Reverend Linda talked about how you can use prayer to get a turnaround. You remember that? How you can use prayer to turn around, right? To change the way that you're looking at things. Well, I was reading an article that Mark Nepo wrote in the Spirituality and Health magazine, and he's calling it the quarter turn. And I saw the similarity in that because he said, do you remember that movie? He quotes actually from The Phenomena with John Travolta. He plays a mechanic named George who all of a sudden on one of his birthdays begins to have flashes of magnificent perspective. He sees things that he has this far-reaching perception that he's never had before. And he had been struggling with this rabbit in his garden. He had constructed all these fences around this garden to protect his vegetables because this rabbit kept nibbling on everything, and he was frustrated. And then one night after he went to sleep, he woke up. It was this moonlit night, and he walked outside, and he opened up the gate to the fence around the garden. And the bunny showed up and ran out. Turns out he had trapped the bunny in the garden with all of his fences and all of his mechanisms. It was trying to get out. Do you see? One sharp change, one little bit of a perception change, and everything looks different. Everything looks different. It can be very subtle, but the fact of the matter is we get into challenges. We have health issues, or we have relationship issues, or we feel like we're at a fork in the road and we don't know what to do. And sometimes we can have these quick turnarounds. If we're tuned in and tapped into spirit and we're paying attention, we're doing our prayer work, we're using our 5 principles, we're doing the work for our spiritual selves, we will get tapped, we will get clues, we will get information in some form or fashion that helps us to know how we can make that quarter turn, how we can see things just a little bit differently. Because isn't our theme, change your thinking, change your life? Change the way you're looking at it. Change the way you see it, and everything can look completely differently. And this is in relationships, this is in the way that you're seeing work, the way that you're seeing anything. So remember, no one view is ever complete, or is it permanent? Everything's changing all the time, right? That's the relative world. That's what we came here to learn and play in, is this relative world. That's how we're growing. We're learning lessons, right? So no one view is home. It's changing all the time, and we're trying to change with it and keep up, right? It's from the place that we see. That's what home is. Home is right here, the within of us, the God within us. That's the home, and we get to choose how we see things. The Jafolas wrote an article in the Unity magazine, and it's called Love Holds the World Together. And on the one hand, it tells a story about Minnie and Homer. They've been married a long time, but Minnie's frustrated because Homer's not really expressing his love very out in the open, right? And so one day she just blurts out, "Homer, how come you don't ever tell me you love me?" And he said, "Minnie, the day we got married, I told you I loved you, and if I ever change my mind, I'll let you know." Well, that's not very comforting, isn't it? That's not very comforting. That's not good enough. Now, on the other hand, there was an article in Nice News, I think it was just in the last couple of days, and it tells a story about Lee Wilson. He was coming up on the 50th anniversary with his wife. And it says, some people bring home a bouquet of flowers for their partner, but this man went above and beyond and gifted his wife an entire field of blooms. Lee Wilson planted 80 acres of sunflowers, meaning 1.2 million single flowers on his Kansas farm for his 50th wedding anniversary with his wife, Renee. He said, what's a guy get his gal on their 50th? He said, I put a lot of thought into it, and she always loved sunflowers. So I thought, this is the year to plant sunflowers. So we planted all 80 acres. Renee said, it made me feel so special. It couldn't have been a more perfect anniversary gift. Do you see the big difference in doing the big or doing the small? It's up to us. Fiona Dalton is the wife of Trent Dalton, the author of their new book called Love Stories, and she says, love is the answer to every question. I assure you I've thought about it for a long time, and that's what I now know. When life brings you down, love harder. When you've been unloved, give love. When love is hard to find, give more love. Double down on love. When the world throws unimaginable grief and tragedy at you, throw yourself into loving. We do this because we know in our heart of hearts that love is the healing harmonizer of the planet. We know it's the only thing that's going to make a difference. So you're familiar with Esther and Abraham? She channels Abraham, and Abraham said this: every time you praise something, appreciate something, feel good about something, you're telling the universe, more of this, please. And that is because love is a mighty magnet. All right, now it's time to tell a joke. Enough preaching. Yep. All right, so I had been sharing with you some of these stories of travel agents and some of the crazy people they get on the telephone trying to make arrangements for their travels. Well, in this particular instance, the guy had a person on the line. He said he wanted to make a trip to China. And he said, okay, fine. And they had this discussion about what all he would need, what all kind of papers he would need to go to China. And he said, you know, you're going to need a visa. And the guy said, I don't need a visa to go to China. I've been to China several times. And so the travel agent went back and redid his research and relooked at it. And he came back and he said, I'm sorry, sir, but you're going to have to get a visa when you go to China. And the guy said, look, bud, I've been there 4 times and I never had a visa. They take my American Express. Can't argue with some people. Okay, I'm going to close today with this piece from Reverend Chris Chenoweth wrote an article, Walking the High Road of Becoming More Loving. And so this is his advice. There is no difficulty in my life that enough love will not conquer, no disease that enough love will not heal, no door that enough love will not open, no gulf that enough love will not bridge, no wall that enough love will not throw down, no wrong that enough love will not set right. It makes no difference how deeply seated may be the trouble, how helpless the outlook, how muddled the tangle, how great the mistake. A sufficient realization of love will dissolve it. It'll dissolve it all. If only you will love enough, you will be the happiest, most powerful being in the world. Today, this moment, agree to let your light shine, to let your love shine, and to become love. Thank you, God, that that's the way it is, and so it is. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you. Now is the time when we get to bless our ministry, and those of you that are online who are doing it through our Breeze or through PayPal, we're grateful for you. And those of you who give automatically, we see you just taking your blessings in your hands as we say this together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, that this is so.